Hey everyone, it's Don again, Captain Cross-Stitch here. Just back for my monthly installment with all of you lovely Floss Tube viewers. If you're a new subscriber, welcome. And if you're a returning subscriber, I thank you for your continued support. It's greatly appreciated. So let's get started. So what I'll be covering is what I did during the month of April and looking forward into the month of May, and maybe some other plans a little further beyond. So we're going to take a look at my Stitcher's Almanac and see what kind of stuff happened in the month of April. So let's see. So I had about 4 different whips that I worked on, in addition to a finish, and that finish became an FFO as well. So I'll get to that in a moment. We had a solar eclipse back at the beginning of the month. And I had a couple of big starts. So let's dive in, shall we? In case you want to see my book, there's my stickers for the month. You can see I had the sun there for the solar eclipse that happened up here on the 8th, and you know, I always have butterflies because I like butterflies, how they look. And now that we're finally getting into some slightly warmer weather, I've been able to shed my heavy coat each morning. So, looking forward to warmer days ahead. I've already had my grass cut a couple of times. And starting to get some things done, not me personally because I'm physically disabled, but my wife hired somebody to get started on some projects around the house, and 2 important ones are done. The one gutter on the back of the house, on the one end, was coming off, and the downspout had already fallen off. So, and then since last June, we've had a pretty wet year, considering the previous year or two had been really extremely dry around here. So, in case you were wondering, I'm on the East Coast in the state of Maryland, in the U.S., for any of my out-of-country viewers. That's the East Coast of the United States. And so it's been really wet here. In fact, it's rained just about all this weekend. Oh, and not that my shirt reflects it, because I just wore this because it's new and it's cool. But happy May the 4th. May the 4th be with you. If you are Star Wars fans, I join you in that. So the month of May is, already warming up, and good things lie ahead. And the other thing I had done, or that my wife had done, we had a shed out back in our yard. Our yard's not too big, big enough, but not too big. And the shed, over the years, since I've not been able to do anything for the past 4 or 5 years, had fallen into disrepair. The roof, the wood paneling in the roof has rotted away, and it's the what do you call it? The roofing, the shingles had started caving in spots, and I would imagine there may have been some critters living in there during the warmer months, and the doors were falling off and that kind of thing. So it was an eyesore, and it pained me every year to just be able to, all I could do was look at it and not have any ability to take care of it one way or the other. So, but anyway, the same guy who fixed our gutter, was able to destroy and demolish and haul away all the debris from our shed. So now we have a nice clean spot where the shed sat. Had to be careful saying that. There's a gravel bed there and some wood, markers outlining the. I guess that would have been the footer for the base of the shed to sit on. But anyway, that's enough personal stuff. Let's get on to the stitching goodness. So, okay, so I'm going to kind of go in a maybe not traditional order here. I don't know that there is one, but I'm trying to keep the flow from one thing to another so it works out well. So I'm going to show you my finish, which then became an FFO first. Let's do that. So the pattern that I completed, for those of you that have been following me, you will know that I was approaching completion on this over the last couple of months, and I finally finished it. And that was the squirrel from Owl Forest Embroidery. So that's what their version looks like, because this is pictured showing using the variegated floss from Owl Forest, their own product. I'm pretty certain, and so it has a lot of subtle color variations in the thread. I didn't want the expense or the time involved in ordering those, so I just used the chart. Comes with a DMC conversion, and it's only like 5 or 6 colors total, so it was easy to do, more or less block stitching, I guess. So here is the finished product, and it's in a basic frame that I got from Michael's, but I did order a custom mat because of the kind of odd size of the finished design, because the finished design is 6 inches across by 9 inches down. So as you can imagine, trying to buy something just from a store, it's always going to be either too small one way or too big another way. So I just bought frames that I knew would be big enough in general, and they were on sale. So I got 3 for the price of 1, which was awesome. And then I went online and ordered a custom mat for it, and it's a double layer mat, so it's got one color with an accent layer on the inside, closest to the design. So here it is. So it looks pretty good. I wasn't able to stretch it enough down here to make it perfectly symmetrical, but it works. It doesn't really take away from it. And then I use the colors within the design to choose my matte colors. So I kind of, I wanted this as an offset to all the orange and brown, because there's a lot of it. Even though there's some green in here, it's not a whole lot, and I wanted to kind of balance out the colors. And then just to give it a little zing, I added the second layer matte of the brown that's similar to one of the colors in there. So there you have it. And that's actually my third finish of the year. And I'm very happy with that. That was a focus piece for since last October when I started it, and it was just over, I think it was like 5,000 some odd stitches, and I think I spent a total of 42 different days that I worked on it. These are all statistics from Markup XP. I don't have it handy to give you exact numbers, and then I think I averaged 140 or 150 stitches per session. So it doesn't sound like much, but over time it adds up. And so that leads me into something new I wanted to try today, and I may do at various points going forward, is whatever my reason. In this case, since I have a finish from Owl Forest Embroidery, I figured it would be a good opportunity to maybe spotlight that company for any of you who may or may not be familiar with them. So Owl Forest Embroidery, they're a Russian company. It was formed by two friends. I'm not even going to try and tell you their names because, one, I don't have it up to where I can look at it, and I probably wouldn't be able to pronounce them correctly anyway. But regardless, it was two ladies, and they started the business together. And as far as they were concerned, they wanted to start a company that did quality designs with what they felt was the best product, that they could provide to do it with. So meaning their own floss and fabrics. They started the company in 2017, so they're relatively new, but they have not spent any time idle, it would seem, because they've done a ton of designs. They do a stitch along every year. Some of the more famous ones, which I can't show you today, but should I choose to embark on some of those older stitch alongs or any new ones that come along, I'll certainly share those with you. I will show you some patterns that I have that I intend to do at some point, and one of them is a new start for me from the month of April, so I'll get to that in a second. But yeah, they have, they do a lot of stuff from books as their start alongs. So they've done Wizard of Oz, they've done Alice in Wonderland. One that they just did last year was Treasure Island, which looks really cool, and it's big. I've seen a couple of other YouTubers who are either currently working on it or have finished it. Two of those would be Samantha, the Huga Stitcher. She started hers sometime last year, and then her girlfriend Erica, I always forget her floss tube name, Fiber Arts Canada, something like that. Fiber and Floss Canada, something like that. They started it at the same time, but Erica is, I think, a bit more prolific. And she finished hers already. but Samantha's still working on hers. She's only got a few more parts left to do, but the SAL has already ended, and they've started a new one, which I briefly looked at last night, and it's kind of a letdown from what they've done in previous years, because the other ones were really good, the ones that I had already mentioned. This new one is something to do with mushrooms and plants or something. I'm not sure exactly. Like I said, it was late at night, and I was trying to prepare for today, and I kind of was getting tired of looking at stuff. So anyway, but let me get on to what I have to show you. I've got all kinds of stuff in the way here. All right. So my new start is another Owl Forest, and it's called Wondrous Garden Custodians. Kind of an awkward name, but because I always want to call it something else. I'm not sure what, but I always forget something in those three descriptions. Believe it or not, it's only 4 colors. While the DMC conversion is only 4 colors. But I just like the design, and it's large. It's about 5 times bigger than the squirrel, number of stitches wise. This is a little over 26,000 stitches, which, you know, I might be crazy taking that on, but I'm going to try it, and I'll have this in markup XP. I already started it, but this is the design. I think it's gorgeous. Just very elegant, very well designed. Now they have a bunch in this similar format. It's 185 stitches across by 445 tall. So it's kind of like a banner style. But they all look really good. And I don't know, you know, who their designers are, if it's the 2 ladies themselves that started the company, or if they have other people working for them that do the designs. I have no idea. But now it's a small start. I just so I've been struggling with fabric choices like big time the last month or two. Just whatever it was, I was trying to kit up. I'd buy 1, 2, sometimes 3 different ones before I found something I wanted to use on various projects. And now that I've started this one, I'm like, I'm not feeling it. So granted, I've only done, you know, maybe 50, 60 stitches. Kind of wavering on my fabric choice. Now, not that the fabric isn't great, it's just for this project I'm not feeling it. It's a piece of Grace Notes fabric, which, you know, is my go-to. I love Corinne and her family. It's done. I'm doing it on a piece of 16 count Ada called Mojito Smoothie, and it's kind of a, I want to say, well, it kind of comes across as like a light blue with some like light grayish modeling, but it's very subtle. I mean, extremely subtle, and even I struggle to see it. And then this is This is my first time doing something that isn't a 14 count, and I'm already not liking the smaller size stitches, higher count, smaller stitches. So I don't know what I'm going to do at this point. I really don't, because I want to get into doing it, but I don't want to go too far with it and then decide I hate it, and then that will have been time and effort and all wasted. I may just put this aside and order another piece of fabric in a 14 count that I'm going to like working with better, because it's mainly an eyesight thing. I just struggle to see anything with a higher count than 14. So we'll see what happens. But this is my tiny little start. So like I said, it didn't do much. And then some other patterns of theirs I have. I actually have quite a few, if I can get a hold of them. So similar in style and size as that one I just showed you. I have one called Moon Deer. Yeah, it's only a few colors in the DMC conversion, so I think this one I might experiment a little bit with the colors, because to me it's just a little drab, because there's not too many colors, but the design is gorgeous. And then this one is called Star Dragon. Again, same thing. The variegated floss seems to work really well on here, and I may end up going back and trying to do a DMC variegated conversion, because I don't think it would be that hard to do, because the colors are very basic. So that might be a prime opportunity to another reason to restart that one that I just showed you, just because of floss choices as well. Let's see. Now another one I have the floss for, but I don't have any fabric selected yet. Again, in the same style, is called Red Castle Guardians. This one I really love, and I'm thinking maybe just a straight up conversion will work just fine. Love that. So in fact, I have a mini tote that's just my Owl Forest designs. This one is called, now this is not in the same vein as this previous four. This one is called Turtle Quaker, and this is a popular one. I've seen a lot of people do this or work on this. I think that one would do well either way, probably. I may try it with variegated floss. We'll see what happens when the day comes. And last but not least, and there are plenty more other patterns that I want. I just haven't taken the time, or I've been kind of saving money for stuff, so I've not been spending as much as I normally would on patterns and things. This one is called Red Cardinals. I've seen people doing this one as well. Very Christmassy. Love all the different cardinals and motifs. They look really cool. But yeah, they have a couple of kind of mythical fantasy ones that I'm interested in. They have one called Hyperborea and another one called Atlantis, which there's the subject matter is really what triggering my interest on those, because I love that kind of stuff. You know, ancient mysteries and places that may or may not have existed. And just so you know, I do believe that Atlantis did exist. The question is, where was it? And where is it now? My theory is, and a ton of books and things that I've read about the subject matter, is it's currently under the ice in Antarctica. And that there's a bunch of reasons for that. I guess it just depends on how much science, and I do say science, not just somebody's opinion, as to how that would have happened, because there's evidence that underneath the ice in Antarctica, there's evidence that that area was once a tropical jungle. And what a lot of people don't understand is that up until about anywhere between 12 and 14,000 years ago, the entire Earth was tropical. And that coincides with the polar shifts and something called the Younger Dryas theory. Look it up. Anyway, that's enough of my mysterious soapbox conspiracy stuff. All right, so that's my Owl Forest focus, with a little crazy Atlantis theory thrown in unexpectedly. And they have a bunch of other cool patterns that are just, I know some people that are working on various things. One that I want to do at some point, and I haven't bought it, and I don't know what I'm waiting for, is they have one called 100 Owls, which is exactly what it means. There are 100 owls in a big sampler kind of style, all over the place, and several friends of mine and some people that I know are working on that. And Ali Z from Ali Z is Crafty. Look up her Floss 2 video and check out her progress on that. She was chugging away at it the last time I saw. So, but she, excuse me. But her videos are, or at least here of late, have been few and far between. But she's been traveling the world, so it's hard to do that kind of thing on the fly, So she'll get back to it at some point. I'll see her in about 3 months at the next retreat that I go to. I'll have news on that a little bit later in the video. So, okay, my whips during the month of April, besides Squirrel, which was completed. The Key to My Heart. You recall that one from my last couple of videos? That was the monochrome-ish pattern from Tempting Tangled Designs. I'm at I'm using page count as a barometer, not actual number of stitches. So I've completed 2 out of 4 pages. So I'm calling that 50% done. So there you go. It's looking pretty good, I must say. And I still think my choice of this particular red variegated floss from DMC works quite nicely. So I'm going to continue working on that as time goes on. That's been in my rotation for a couple months. I think I started it February 14th. Alright, and so now that I've completed the squirrel, my new focus piece is going to become the Crescent Moon Dragon from Joan Elliott. I've been doing that since I think February the 10th. Yeah, February 10th. When the Chinese New Year began, the Year of the Dragon. So I'm doing that in relation to the Year of the Dragon Sao, started by Samantha the Huga Stitcher and her friend Erica, Fiber and Floss Canada. So if you want to join in, please do. There's no timeline, really. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people will be working on their various projects throughout until the next new Chinese New Year and then beyond. I doubt I'll finish mine within a year. But that's going to become my new focus piece, so I'm going to work on it as much or more than I did the squirrel. So if you can make out what's going on there, it's a little all over the place at the moment, but the green going up in the curve, that's the spine on the neck of the dragon, and then that purple stripe behind it is one edge of one giant wing, and that other bottom edge is the bottom edge of the wing. And then I started some of the body, the tail behind the wing, and then one of the legs of the dragon in the foreground, down the blue at the bottom. So yeah, this is such a pleasure to stitch on. The fabric is wonderful, and it's Grace Notes fabric. It's a 14 count Aida called Barbara. So I mean, dyed Aida can be most of the time is so soft and so easy to work with. It's just, I love it. So, and then in case you wanted to see that's what the finished product will look like, or some close proximity to that. All right. Another one I had kind of been working on sporadically was the Royal Peacock from Dimensions. It was a kit. And I think I was slow in getting started for a couple of reasons. The Aida that comes with it is super stiff. Hate it. but I'm sticking with it. And but the other reason was the center start that I chose was a really boring area of color. It was like a bunch of beiges and charcoal and golds and very light golds and whatever. And I was just like, oh, let me get to some blue. Damn it. So this is what the pattern looks like, the finished product. So it's going to be pretty when it's done, but what I was doing was this part, the upper part of this body section here, I want to get to all the rest of it. So, but I did manage to finish, and I'm doing a lower half, upper half division, so I'm doing the upper half first. So I did finish the upper half of that body section that I started on. So you can see I got some color on the top of the body here above this section, and then started doing the neck. So it's so pretty. I love those colors. That'll speed up once I get more stitches into the colored areas, I think, because I think there's a fair amount of half stitches in it as well, so that will help speed things up. I kind of wish I had this in Markup XP just so I could have a better idea of where I stand on that. And then, so the only other thing that I worked on was actually another new start. And it was a late start for a stitch along for the Long Dog Leap Year. So that should tell you what to expect. So the pattern that I'm doing is called Templar Prophecy. And that's the design. So this is another one where it took me a while to get the fabric, and I thought I was happy with it. I'm happy with the color choice, just not so much happy with the count, because it's not a super high count. It's not like a 40, which would, I'd just poke my eyes out now. I'm doing it on a 16 count gilded from Mystic Fabrics. And it's gorgeous fabric. But it's what did I say it was? So it's an 18 count Ada. So that already makes it a big piece of fabric. But it's so tiny, at least for me. I'm struggling with it. And here's my pitiful start. So you can see, I mean, it looks good, and I'm doing 1/1. So I've kind of, just like that one Owl Forest one new start, I kind of have lost steam on it because I'm trying to decide what I want to do with it. Do I want to buy another piece of fabric in a 14 count, and then I can bump my thread count up to 2, because I did try starting this with 2/1, but I felt like the stitches were too full, like next to each other. They didn't look uniform enough which you really kind of want for a long dog. And I had asked other stitcher friends of mine that what their opinion was, and they basically said just try both and see which one you like. And I was like, okay, I guess I have to do that. So I did, and I do like the 1/1 on, at least on this fabric, better. But I think I'm gonna like the feel and the comfort of doing 2/1 on a 14, because that's kind of my jam, and my eyes can handle that just fine. So stay tuned. I may end up ordering more fabric, and then I'll gift this to somebody, and lesson learned, I guess. So needless to say that so I have I have a planned retreat that I'm going to in August, the Grace Notes retreat. This will be their second year and my second year attending. So needless to say, I'm going to plan to buy a ton of fabric. Because I bought a fair amount, more than I thought I probably should have, it being my first time and all that. But smartly, what I bought, I think with the exception of one piece, was exclusively all 14 count. Various, either fat quarter or fat half, depending on what I could get, without them having to cut it or whatever on the spot. So I will. I'm not going to say I can guarantee I'm going to spend a lot more money on fabric this time around than I did my first time, and I'm going to run the gamut as much as I can on the rainbow of colors that I can get, because I was kind of funny about certain colors. Like, I didn't want bright yellow or orange or anything weird like that. But in hindsight, I'm thinking, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have those on hand in case something came along that would say, hey, that would work really well in those colors, and then I don't have it and then regret it later. Because I like the gilded color from Mystic Fabrics that I bought. It's got that kind of rich gold color to it, thus the name gilded. They do have a dark gilded, which, after seeing this one, because I actually thought this one was going to be a bit darker than it is, because not that this isn't gorgeous, but I'm just wondering how much different is the dark gilded. So maybe it's something I might consider revisiting them and ordering the dark one on the 14 count, just to see if it's more to my liking. Don't know. Oh, and that minuscule start was using some variegated floss from DMC, so not that you could really tell. It looked pretty much all like a dark blood red color. So, but anyway, so I kind of went out of order of what I'd written down, but since I already mentioned my retreat in August. So yeah, that's the Grace Notes retreat. It's already booked up, so I'm pretty certain. I mean, you could try to get into it if you want. It's in Allentown, PA, and August 8th through the 11th of this year. I doubt they have any openings at this point. I know it was booked up at one point, but maybe she had some cancellations or something. If it's something you think you're interested in. If not this year, next year. So keep an eye out for it. Grace Notes Fabrics, it puts it on. It's their baby, and it was such a joy. The first year I went, met a bunch of nice people. The Simpson family, they're the ones that run and own Grace Notes Fabrics, and they put on the retreat. They changed hotels within the same general area due to schedule conflicts, and I think they ended up without having been there, just seeing online that they made a upgrade. I think the new hotel is probably nicer, and you know it may be a even more pleasant experience than what we had last year, and it was pretty decent last year. Um, so we'll see. Other retreat news. So, um, as a lot of you probably know, if you're watching Floss Tube, you probably know who these people are. Um, so, Fiber Arts Amy and Maggie, aka Kitschy Whips, they put on a retreat last year in October in Charlotte, North Carolina, my family's home state. Um, at the Queen City Stitch Retreat. It was their debut retreat, and they had none other than the legendary Nora Corbett there. And I wish I could have been there for that. That was not that I may not get another opportunity. It's just the timing and everything was not right. But they're putting on another one this year, and the guest of honor this time is Autumn Lane Stitchery, so that should be pretty cool. Not going to that one either. But since I follow them on Instagram, and you should too, and they have their individual YouTube channels that you should check out. Especially, I absolutely love Maggie. She is my kind of crazy. She's hilarious and cute, and all the above, all the good things you can say about somebody. But they a few years ago, they started something that they call Chatelaine Wednesdays, and so it's just something they did. Hey, if you're working on a chatelaine design, show us your work, show us what you're working on, and they just every week, they just kind of throw that out there. Hey, let's see what you're doing. Well, so 2 months ago, they started a chatelaine Zoom group, which the first time around, I was fortunate that I had been in touch with them about stuff and was able to get included on the guest list, if you will, for attending that first Zoom. And I think there may have been maybe 20 of us. It wasn't like full blown yet. And I knew who Chatelaine was, the company, and what the product was all about, but I didn't really know any history behind it. Well, that initial Zoom, they had the daughter of the woman who was the designer behind Chatelaine. Now, she has passed away some time ago, so there aren't any new patterns being made by her. But the daughter has kindly decided to carry on the company in her mother's honor, and kind of keep the spirit of the designer alive and keeping the company going. So, and she was in attendance at the Zoom, so it was great to hear the conversation between her and Maggie and Amy, the moderators of the Zoom, and there were other stitchers there that were like long time chatelaine stitchers, and so and some of them were actually friends with the lady's mother. I'm sorry, I don't have names, but so they were friends, and they could tell you firsthand, about different things about the lady who did the designs. So about sometime, I guess it was last week, they said, oh, we're going to have some news on the next Zoom. If you want to get included, let us know, and we'll put you on the list, and we'll send you a link. So they did that, and it blew up. So Amy had a limited, her Zoom account was limited to 100 attendees. So she could only add so many people, because the second meeting we had a month ago, the number of people had increased from the initial Zoom meeting that she had about it. So it was growing. It was already growing, and then what few spaces she had left filled up quickly. But they promised that the news of what they were announcing in our Zoom this past Wednesday would get out just fine. No, you didn't have to attend to hear the news. They are putting on a second retreat next year, 2025. So in July, I don't know the dates off the top of my head. She did tell me because I asked, but I can't remember now. But anyway, they're going to be putting on a Chatelaine retreat. Now, not that it won't be fun, but they mentioned that this one is going to be a more learning-centric or class-style-centric retreat. So you're going to sign up for one of 4 different styles to choose from, and they're going to provide a fully kitted design for you to do. That's not cheap. Chatelaine is beautiful, but it's a little pricey, so as many of you probably know. So the cost is probably, they said they didn't have a number yet, but they said it will be more expensive than their fall retreat, just because of that reason. But it'll be at the same place. The major difference is that this one will be extremely limited, probably a third of the size as far as attendees go, will be allowed to attend. So it'll be a lottery system, just like their other retreats. At some point in the next couple of months, they're going to open up registration requests, and then once that 24 hours is up, they will then do a random selection of all the people who put their name in the hat to be chosen. And then 48 lucky people will be attending that initial Chatelaine retreat. Now, I don't know if there's any talk as to whether this will be an ongoing thing or not, or maybe they're just planning on doing different designers every year, kind of like they do their fall retreat. I'm not sure, but news will follow, so keep your eye out on their accounts on Facebook, Instagram, and their FlossTube channels for future details. So that's retreat news and future retreats. What do I have next? All right, so I think it's time for some haul. Don't have much because, like I said, I've been curbing my spending. Which is killing me because there's stuff I want to buy. But I'm trying to put away money for August and beyond. So this order was actually from the very beginning of April, from 123 Stitch. So I have from Lavender and Lace, I have Ice Angel. This sounds like an old 50s doo-wop song. Ice Angel. Very simple, a lot of white. Looks like a fair amount of backstitching in that too. Alright, I got another Plum Street sampler, but a smaller one, not one of their giant ones. This is the Flag Flock. I'm not really like a fan of sheep or whatever. I just like the idea that it was patriotic and it was a cool looking design. So I was like, you know, I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna put that in my patriotic pattern keeper bag that I have. Then another older from 2018, and an older Boa Filipina, as I'm trying to collect all however many there are at this point. This is the portrait of Maria Clara. Kind of, his designs were, I guess, less bodacious early on. They were more, I think, representative or maybe directly people of historical significance from the Philippines. I'm not real sure. I haven't researched that much into it yet, because yes, there will be a creator spotlight somewhere down the road for this guy at some point. And then two from the Cricket collection, number 333. This is called December. And then pattern 305 called Winter. That should be fun. And put that on a similar fabric, something light blue. Now this one, I was on 123 Stitch looking for a different pattern by this company, and I saw this. I was like, oh, well, I gotta get this. It's from Ink Circles. It's called Dragons of Sumatra. That is just way cool. Obviously very reminiscent of Long Dog. It's much smaller scale, obviously. And this is book number 150 from the Prairie Schooler, called December. And of course, as you might imagine, very holiday, very festive designs. And then last but not least, from Joan Elliott Design, this is called Mystical Mermaid. I like the design, but their fabric choice, or at least the way it's, maybe it's just the way it's photographed, it didn't come across as well, but this was a poor fabric choice in my opinion. It's just too dark. Considering, you know, how dark some of the colors are in the design, it kind of like loses detail, you know, because the overall look is so dark. I think I would have went with more of a a lighter blue or a bluish green. You know, so you want something ocean-like, but you don't want something that's so dark it like kind of loses the appearance of the actual design. So, what the hell that is? All right, so, all right, and then my last two items. So I had ordered something from Cross Stitch Boutique. I had first seen this design from a lady. I'm gonna forget her first name. Well, she's on Floss Tube. Sabrina is her name. On Floss Tube, she is Lady Marmalade in Stitches. She's from Australia, and she had this kit, and I was like, "Oh, I really like that. I'm going to order that at some point." And so I finally did. It was in my wish list for a good while. This was called Blue Jay and Grapes. It actually should be Blue Jays plural because there's two of them. So from the Magic Needle, I think that's a company out of Russia, maybe. I don't know for sure. Yeah, it's Russian. You can see the Russian wording up here in the Cyrillic alphabet. So yeah, I have another pattern of theirs that I ordered from the same place. So they obviously like their stuff and are carrying their product in their web store. So check them out. They got some good stuff on Cross Stitch Boutique. Now, the other thing I ordered, and I ordered it at the same time, and I didn't really know anything about this, but I got it because, first of all, it's a really cool design. Plus, it's Halloween related, which I need some more Halloween stuff. And they said it was a limited design, which I really don't understand. I still don't really understand what the rarity of this item is, because the way they seem to think that there was like less than 100 of these made, which I don't know. But anyway, it says it's a limited edition. It's a paper booklet chart, and it's printed on special paper. And the chart is gorgeous. It really is. The design. It's called Midnight Hour. And the company, I think it's Italian. The company that I guess it's the registered trademark or whatever it is, whatever the thing is for Europe, is for Passion Ricamo Designs. The copyright stands with Laura Gabuti Latuada. I'm sorry, my pronunciation is horrible. So yeah, but anyway, here's the design. I just think that's really cool looking. So it's like a, Halloween fairy, and then it's just really well done, and the chart and all is really gorgeous. I mean, it's like I said, I don't really necessarily understand what all of this is necessarily. But so they show you like the original art that yeah, it says this booklet is limited to only 70 copies. And it's made on some kind of special paper made with orange peel. Anyway, here's the original artwork that the design is based off of. So that's pretty cool. I do like that. So I guess it's like more like a, you know, it's more than just the design. It's the historical, you know, behind the scenes, you know, how they arrived at, you know, the finished product, I guess. And it even has a certificate of authenticity in there, you know, which I thought only was for sports memorabilia and comic books. And then they even show you several different fabric suggestions for the design, which I thought was cool. And where you can get them, I guess. Yeah, pole stitches. I'm not too familiar with them. I've heard the name before, but. And then it gives you, you know, your materials list and you know, the stitches and conversions and all that good stuff. And then the actual chart itself, which they show you. Actually, it's kind of cool. They show you one with the back stitching and then one without the back stitching, which I kind of thought was kind of cool. So there you see it with and then without. Kind of neat. But it looks like it's only I think it's only 9 pages, or maybe 12. I think maybe, but several of them are very. There's just a handful of stitches on them, like, you know, the outer parts of the design. So yeah, I bought it. It was expensive, but I thought, oh, you know, it was cool and it was limited edition. You know. So, yeah, and they had one other one which I can't even remember what the design was. That was also a limited edition. So maybe if I revisit that website, I'll find out for sure if they still have them available. Of course. You would think if there were only 70 of them, they would sell out rather quickly. So I was more than happy that I got one, assuming it truly is limited to 70 and not just some kind of, you know, word of mouth kind of thing. It was like, oh, well, you know, it's not really limited, but you know, we're going to say it's limited. But anyway, so that's all my haul. So what else do I have? Do I have anything else? Okay, yeah, so the only thing I have left, and this video is already a minute 10. So potential starts. So a couple of months ago, I think I had this grand plan. I'm going to do 2 new starts every month. I mean, it's not hard to do. I could have done it if I really wanted to. I could have just picked something out of stash and said, boom, I had a start. But I'm more in the position where I want to do what calls to me. Okay, I want to do what makes me want to do the stitching. So that's why I did the squirrel, even though I had it planned out. I actually had plans that it wouldn't have been finished until the end of June. But I was like, I'm loving it. I'm doing it, and it's getting done quick. I'm just going to keep doing it. And so that's why I had to finish ahead of schedule. So then that means that bumps everything else I was working on, up a notch, if you will. So so basically, now granted, it's not going to get done nearly as quickly, but I'm putting the dragon that I showed you into my focus slot. So the bulk of my time that I stitch going forward will be on that piece, and then I'll touch other ones here and there as the desire drives me to do so. So that being said, I had this kind of robust schedule in mind a couple of months back that I was going to have 2 starts every month, guaranteed, boom, boom, boom. But with getting, since I don't have any worthwhile LNSs close to me, most of what I buy is online, and it always comes. I can get floss really easily because I have all the major chain stores nearby. It just comes down to fabric choices and patterns I buy online, so that's not a big deal. My problem with so I love 1-2-3 Stitch, and I spend a lot of money there, but I have issues with buying fabric from them. Not that I just can't tell what I'm getting. I don't know what I'm getting because there have been times when I've ordered it and I'm like, well, this is not like what it looked like online. So I have several pieces of fabric that I'm just like, well, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do with this because I can't use it for the project that I had bought it for. So I'm starting to build a collection of the Island of Misfit fabrics. I mean, granted, they'll get used at some point. I'm sure a project will come along and say, oh, I wish I had, oh, wait a minute, I do have some of that. And that would just, usually smaller projects will fit those categories better. So, but, so I feel like I'm just going to let the stuff call to me as far as new starts. So if I'm tired of doing what I'm doing and there's nothing that I'm currently working on, that I don't want to work on any of it. And I said, I'm like, well, I have a couple items I'm like itching to start, just itching. I'm going to do that. So I'm not going to put anything on a schedule, but I will show you a couple of things that are calling to me in the background. Hello. The only guaranteed start that I'm gonna say is coming up in June next month, and it'll be my first Bella Filipina. I mentioned this before. It's a pattern called Bellatrix. I'm not going to show it to you right now, but you could check some of my previous videos. I've shown it before. Definitely starting that one next month of June. And there's a reason for that, and I think I mentioned it in one of my previous videos, so go check it out. But other than that, I'm not promising anything is going to be a guaranteed start. But I do have 2 that I have fully kitted, and they're calling to me. So they're in the on-deck circle, to use a baseball metaphor. And they are as follows. So this is called Midnight Enchanter. I've shown this before, but you can see I got it in a bag. I got my fabric. It's going to be on black Ada, and I got all of my floss already picked out. So there you go. Very, very colorful. Part of the reason that calls to me is the color scheme and the subject matter. Plus it has those nifty charms that go in there, you know, the little moons and stars and whatever else is in there. So that is that. I think I have everything I need. I'll have to double check that just to make sure. Because don't you hate it when you you either have something on your wish list or in your cart and you don't buy it right away, and then you go back and you're like, why is this in here and what is it for? I can't remember. Because I have in my 1, 2, 3 cart, I have 3 spools of Kreinik, and I don't know why. I think I know one of them, but the other 2, I have no reason. I have no clue why they're in there. I really don't. I mean, granted, whenever I get around to placing another order with them, I'm just going to go ahead and get them. But, you know, because they're not terribly expensive. But I don't remember. Getting old. Look at all the gray. And then the other one that's calling to me, and I just received the fabric for it last Thursday. It's called A Symphony of Friendship Sampler. It's from Cottage Garden Samplings. I don't know what draws me to this. I mean, I like birds as far as designs, you know, go. I mean, in person, I really don't have any superior love for birds. I mean, I don't own birds or you know, I'm crazy about them. But as far as stitching goes, I think they're fabulous. So, and this one's got 2 of my favorites, or actually 3 of my favorites. It's got a cardinal, blue jay, and I believe that's an oriole, which, you know, with me being from Maryland, the Baltimore Orioles, you know, baseball team, and they're going to have another great year this year, I have a feeling. I think they might be in first place right now. They just took 3 out of 4 from those Yankees. Yeah. So anyway, I just got the fabric for it, and I got it in my preferred count. Now granted, it makes it that much bigger because it's 14. So I had to get a fat half, so it's going to be a big project. But I got it in a color called almond milk. And if you haven't tried their fabrics, oh my God, you really need to. Just look them up on you know, the internet. Grace Notes Fabrics. They have a plethora of super awesome colors and counts and, you know, fabric choices. Like this is Ada, which is my preferred, you know, but it's so soft. It's like I'm guessing their dyeing process, whatever it is, really, you know, softens it up somehow, because all the ones that I've used are just incredibly soft and easy to work with. So I can't say enough about them. Corinne and John and family, they are fabulous people, as well as running a great company. So check them out. And of course, you know, I got all the flosses. So that one's ready to go. So when I get a moment and I'm bored and I want a new start is calling my name, I might hear, pick me. And I got those too, that are just ready to go. All right, so we're about a minute 20. I'm going to call it. It's over, done, cut, all that good stuff. Thank you for joining me. If you made it this far, I don't have any extra, non-stitchy related stuff that I can think of that I really want to talk about. Trying to think if there's been anything of note. No, nothing that off the top of my head that I can think of at the moment. So, but I'll write it down for next time if something does. Until then, thank you all for joining me, and be safe. Enjoy the upcoming warm weather wherever you are, and I bid you adieu, and keep on stitching.